Hello and welcome to episode 28 of An Other Side. I'm Dom Harbin. I'm joined by Jack Donovan and Scenario Neil. And this evening, we're joined by the man who does this.
Always, I can depend on you, but sometimes it's burning a hole right through. Let's talk about it.
Of course, we're joined by the ultimate one club man, Mr. Topsy OJO. How are you this evening, Topsy?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me.
No worries. It's a privilege to have you on. I know Jack's fangirling at the moment, so you'll probably get some chat out of him later.
2 weeks. I'm happy.
I know it's been a mad one. So what's been keeping you busy during lockdown?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, work-wise, obviously nothing going on at all. So it's been a lot of time at home with the kids. I got two young ones, 6 and 4. Trying to get through homeschooling, which has been interesting to say the least. I think definitely finding out that my son, my 6-year-old, knows a lot more than me about certain things. So yeah, that's been quite humbling. A lot of staying fit, keeping healthy as well. Like, especially early in the start of this thing when it was you were only allowed out for an hour. It was like, right, okay, let's make the most of it. So I've been getting out, running, biking as well. Finally found my bike after it's been sat in the garage for about 18 months and found that really good as well. And then I guess just enjoying a lot of quality time at home. I mean, I guess the one thing is we hopefully never have this sort of time again, but actually it's quite precious, for me to spend 11, 12 weeks with my kids, seeing them grow up is invaluable, and, sometimes life takes over and you don't get a chance to kind of appreciate that. So that has definitely been a blessing.
Definitely. So so obviously we're sort of coming. Well, you'd like to think, or you get the feeling, we're sort of coming to the end of this this lockdown period, and then you've got like the likes of the Premiership looking to come back, sort of middle of next month. What's your opinion on that? Do you think that's realistic?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, the guys are only literally just kind of getting back into stage one, which is training in groups, social distance, minimal sharing of equipment. It's almost like one group in, one group out, and it's probably going to be like that for another 10 days to 2 weeks. So, I mean, if you factor in a normal preseason is usually about 5 weeks, with the guys having been off for so long and still yet to get, I mean, you can do as much fitness as you want away, but until you're doing it in that competitive environment, until you're locking horns with the boys, the contact element especially, I mean, no contact for nearly 3 months. It's going to be pretty brutal trying to get into it, especially like the front row boys. So, I mean, if I was to try and guess, you'd be looking at maybe start of August, but that's probably optimistic, to be honest. I mean, you're hoping that everything goes as planned. We tick all the stages. Yeah. There's no setbacks. All the issues away from just dealing with this virus as well. Finances, players' contracts, this, that, and the other still needs to be sorted. So, I mean, I'm definitely trying to be optimistic and hope that end of July, start of August, we're not too far off.
And how important do you think it is to finish the current season? Obviously, as we know, the Premiership's getting sort of seemingly getting closer and closer between the teams. And obviously, you've got a couple of teams in around those European spaces. So do you think that's a big factor behind getting this finished, or do you think it's more financial gain?
A bit of both. I mean, BT have been brilliant in terms of, honouring their payments. So most of those have been made. So, clubs don't have that massive stress of, right, we need to play the games just to fulfil that obligation. I think from an integrity point of view, obviously it's great to finish the league. And like you say, it is so competitive. A lot of the hard work that teams have put in, they would like to see finished as well. And if that's safe to do so, then of course they will push through. And obviously the financial side is there, like what you said, in terms of sponsorship. There'll be no gate revenues, and who knows when we're next going to see gate receipts. But I think just for the general good of the competition as well, I think most of the directors want to see it finished. So they'll push, push within reason, as long as it's safe to do so, try and progress and try and get rugby back on the pitches.
Do you think the sport will sort of suffer with, certainly for the short period, having no fans in the stadiums? Do you think that's going to affect teams massively?
Yeah, undoubtedly. I think it will be a very surreal experience. I mean, having been watching the German football quite closely and seeing it, I mean, it's quite interesting. I look at it with a different perspective now, and obviously, some teams, especially, you take your Exeters, your Leicesters, your Northamptons, who are used to running out in front of packed home stadiums. You come out and there's 200 to 300 people in there. It's going to be eerie. It's going to be weird. And one of the things I've noticed, obviously, home advantage is pretty much non-existent. I mean, one of the big factors is intimidating atmospheres, hostile crowds, that energy that you get from a home support. And again, like I said, I've noticed it in the German football. It comes down to pure skill. 11v11. There's 15v15. Who can execute better? There's no external influences. It's just 15 guys versus 15 on the pitch. So it'll actually become a real eye opener in terms of skill set, in terms of fitness, and actually mentally, who can just deliver regardless of what else is going on. So I mean, I'm obviously thinking ahead, but I'd love to see how it plays out and how players deal with that.
That's perfect. I mean, I noticed we spoke to them the other week, and they said in Australia they're actually getting cardboard cutouts of people, pictures of them, to just sit them in the stands. Do you think we're going to go that way, or is it just?
I don't know. I mean, it's quite funny. I like the different strategies teams are using. I think I saw one the other day. They installed an LED screen, and people could watch from Zoom from their home, so it looked like they were all there. Whether rugby will do that, I'm not sure. I mean, it's great. I know some clubs have used it for fundraising as well, which is brilliant. We'll see. I think some clubs could probably pull it off really well. I think others, they've got other priorities to worry about.
That's fair enough.
Saying about the stadiums and the attendances, actually links on to quite a big topic that I imagine is floating around a lot of the London Irish players this week, that this weekend would have been the last game at Medeski. So how's all that been? Because obviously this wasn't expected, and in the final ever season at Medeski Stadium, to have it sort of cut off and let's say like no end of season celebration there or anything, is that a surreal one for the players and the fans, that it's almost like an ending without the farewell?
Yeah, I think it'll be quite surreal for a lot of people. I mean, I'd probably say the fans more than anything, because I think players are quite resilient in that they'll just they're used to playing in different grounds. They'll just get on with it. I mean, guys that have maybe been there a while, guys like Blair Cowan and Scott Steels, who are very used to the Medeski. It'll be quite weird thinking mid-season, if we don't go back there. They were there and now they're in a new stadium. We just don't know if it's been the last game there or not. We'll have to wait and see again how all these stages play out. But I mean, it will be very strange. And, obviously the club had big plans in terms of marking it, and it was going to be this huge celebration. So I don't know if you saw, they posted the other day. I mean, in the end, so we got 21 of us on a Zoom call, basically generation 2000 through to 2020 of that period at the Medeski, just to kind of chew the fat and talk through. I think the club are going to release that at 3 on Saturday, which would have been kickoff, just to talk about our time there. And it was actually a great phone call. I think we tried to cap it an hour and a half. We could have been there 5 hours. It was one of those, the stories start coming out and you just start reminiscing. And I remember when this happened. Remember when that happened. So I mean, obviously, I'm hopeful that depending on how this plays out, there is an opportunity to get back there, but we just don't know. It's guessing at the moment, and like I say, we'll wait for government guidance, Premiership rugby guidance, and take it from there.
I wanted to go over, obviously. Sorry, Jack. Just say. Obviously, you had a massively, long and fruitful career with London Irish, played for England as well. Do you have like a highlight of your career? Is there a point in your career, or a match, or a certain point in a match where it really still gets the hairs in the back of your neck going up?
Yeah. There's a couple. My debut is the first one. Going right. I mean, like I say, you're a young kid coming in. You're itching to get your opportunity. And like I say, I remember it vividly. It was on the bench. Someone went down injured at halftime, and it was all right, Topsy, you're on. I was like, all right, a bit nervous. You're like, sometimes you don't expect the call to come like that. First game, you think, right, okay, 20 minutes off the bench at the end, something like that, ease you in. It's like, right, you're in. And I scored with my first touch. And like the elation, obviously, you're like, man, this is unbelievable. I remember the moment because it was played Dylan Armitage. He chipped it through. I chased it, scored, and like you're just ecstatic. You're like, right, dreamland. And then like I say that picture is very vivid. So I remember that one. A game against Bath away around, I think it was about 2006. Brilliant game. I think it was like a 35-point game, and scored a try. I don't know how I scored it. It was like we took a quick line out, and I just remember pretty much seeing the whole Bath pack in front of me and thinking this was the worst decision ever. And 5 seconds later, I'm under the sticks. And it's like, I mean, I don't know how I did it. You kind of just reacting, and there's no thought process there. It's just react, stay out of trouble, try not to let that big lad smash you. But yeah, that's another one that stands out for sure. Toulouse in the Heineken semi-final, of course. That one was interesting because it wasn't actually more me at the time. It was actually the moment that stands out for me was afterwards. It was Brian Smith.
Right.
Because I mean, we'd lost the game, so obviously really devastated. But I remember him saying to me specifically, he was like, "You've done something special today," and I didn't really realize it at the time. But then obviously ended up doing quite a lot of press. Probably the most press I'd done at that point in my career. And you're kind of not realizing, okay, well, all right, like, I know I scored, and the game went okay, but we lost. And obviously the follow on from that, a couple of weeks later, I'm getting a phone call saying that I'm going to New Zealand. So yeah, again, that period of time was, again, anytime I think about that, it's like, man, those are the occasions and the games that you want to be a part of. Those really big ones. I remember Twickenham. We just did the bottom bowl, so 30,000 sellout and just unbelievable atmosphere. Green everywhere. You're playing Toulouse, like giants of French rugby, like unbelievable roster, superstars everywhere. We knew we were the underdogs, but it's again, like we just have a crack. We'd beaten Perpignan the match before. Like I say, brilliant game. Obviously, we didn't win, but like I say, the follow-on from that for me is a highlight. And then, guess fast forwarding a bit, probably bittersweet, but like my last game, because I think it wasn't until the final whistle went that I kind of it hit me. Everything hit me at once. And I remember being I was stood next to Brendan McKibben in the tunnel as we were clapping Ealing off. And I needed a minute, and like he just kind of held me, and I was like trying to hold my head like on his shoulder, just like to bring myself together, because like I say, maybe that was the realization that okay, like I say, we're talking about last game of the Meditator. I was like, right, okay, this is it, like it's done now. So yeah, those are just a couple. I mean, I could probably reel off a few more that stand out, but yeah, those ones jumped out.
Perfect. Well, I say I've got to put this in there. Jack on himself won't thank me for saying it. I'm a Gloucester fan, and I wanted to talk about the European, the final, obviously, where you lost to Gloucester that year. Was it 2006? Was that right?
Yeah, two Challenge Cup final. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually there that day. It's the only time I've been to Twickenham and seen Gloucester win. Every time I've been.
Really?
So I mean, do you ever have matches? Not necessarily that one, but are there certain matches in your life where you think, "I wish I could have done something differently," or "Wish if I'd only done this, we'd have won that match"? Or is there anything that sort of sticks in you?
Yeah, I mean, you have loads of those. I mean, that was one definitely. We felt we had enough opportunities to win that game. It goes into extra time, and it can go either way. And obviously, I think it's Fozzie that scores the try in the end to win it. And I think we missed a couple of opportunities early in the game. And you think, man, you've done all this work to get to a final, and it goes away from you. The Heineken Cup semi again, we've just been speaking about. Definitely, I know we were the underdogs, but we created enough opportunities and had enough line breaks, especially when we had Toulouse under pressure, to put some more points on the board, and we just didn't have that last bit of precision right towards the end. And again, when you're talking about world-class teams and those operators, that's the difference. I guess maybe one that I didn't really have control of, but the Premiership final in 2009. I remember I was carrying a knee injury through kind of the back third of the season, and it got to the last game. I remember Toby Booth just saying to me, "Mate, I can't play you anymore. you're hanging on by a thread. And I knew I needed this big operation coming up in the summer, so I went to the Stoop as travelling reserve. Like they strapped it up. I was like, right, I'll do my bit. But obviously, you're like, man, what I would give to be out there. Obviously, we won that game, brilliant, and then the final is a 2-pointer, and you're like, man, what would I give to have been out there, to have tried to make some sort of difference? I mean, 3 points away from climbing the summit and getting it done.
Isn't it? It's the curse of the spectator. Anyone that has ever played the sport or any sport, if you're injured and you're watching on the sideline, you're always there going, "Oh, come on, I could have done."
Yeah,
you know.
like I'm a terrible watcher. If I'm injured or not picked or whatever, you just obviously you envision yourself and what you would be doing and the impact you'd like to be trying to make. So I mean, there's so many moments like that where you just, I mean, again, if you could turn back time, if you had your time again, what would you do differently? And so many others. I guess you just try and take them all as learning points, so that if those situations come up again, or you get another opportunity, that the outcome's more in your favour.
Yeah. Just a quick one to jump in there. We had a good friend of the show, Pete Bracken, on a few weeks ago. And it just happens one of his highlights was actually closing you down and tackling you, and basically stop it.
Lies.
Because he was like, oh yeah, I was coming around the corner or something, and Topsy got the ball, and he could have gone around me, but I sort of closed him down and took him to the deck. Is there any truth in that? Because we need to get that straight with Pete.
It was a
You
game.
tell him I need to see video evidence of this. Because it sounds like fantasy that I would choose to run straight at him as opposed to...
That's good. Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, it may have been a narrow channel, but I hardly doubt it.
Maybe there was 8 guys on the other side.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm in a corridor. What could I do?
So yeah, sorry, Pete. I think we've busted that myth.
So, Tops, you mentioned about obviously Irish reaching the Premiership final, all sorts of success going on. How did it feel then to, a matter of years later, be ending up in the Championship? What was that like and in the club?
Yeah, that was tough, especially the first time. Probably hit me the hardest because I think the biggest thing for me was actually the impact it had on other people in the organisation. You're devastated. You feel like you've let people down, and obviously not for lack of effort or anything like that. But we just weren't as good as the other 11 teams. But to see people losing their jobs, people being made redundant, saying we can't afford to keep you, that was really tough. And actually, people that had become more than just colleagues, they were friends in the office, and seeing people in tears as well, like that was really tough. That hit me the hardest. To add to that, at the time I dislocated my shoulder, I think in the March. So again, I was now out of the frame, couldn't do anything. And again, we're trying to do something. I'm saying, right, well, I know I need an op. I'm going to delay my op and just travel with the team. And we're going up to Newcastle for that game that we played. I'm just saying I'll support and I'll be there. And if it makes 0.01% of a difference, I'll do it. See, it didn't in the end. But yeah, it was really tough. Obviously, one of the low career points, because I guess it's almost that classic, like you don't expect it will ever happen. You think, oh, we'll be all right, we'll come good, but ultimately someone has to go down. And I think that season, we struggled right the way. I don't think we didn't win till Boxing Day, I think, or something like that. I need to check that. So a really slow start in a season of a lot of transition. I know new coach, new ideas. We definitely had the quality in the squad, but we just didn't deliver, and paid the ultimate price. So the standout, obviously, feelings for me, just real, like you'd let a lot of people down, especially when you care about it so much as well. And like saying, you have those bonds with people on and off the pitch. Yeah, really tough.
Did that come with a side of sort of? I mean, did any players or staff associated with the club, did anyone suffer mentally with it? I mean, did anyone have poor mental health? Was that sort of not really shone a light on back then? I suppose it was not that long ago, but
honestly, I'd say I've probably not shone a light on. I mean, I would imagine that some people would have done a lot of soul searching after that. Like I say, we were all responsible in our own way, whether it's from top leadership through to us players delivering on the pitch. Each of us have to take responsibility for something like that and to own our part in it and say, right, okay, where could I have done better, been better, so that this didn't happen. I guess the funny thing with sport, there is a lot of stuff with mental health. I think, one thing it offers you is the opportunity to bounce back. And for a lot of people I know, maybe their comfort was in, right, okay, we're going to smash this at the first attempt. It was almost like switch our focus now. Okay, this has happened, deal with it, process it. But remember, even we had a lot of review meetings at that end of the season. And, for the guys that maybe knew they were staying, had contracts, this, that, and the other, we're coming straight back up, no questions asked. And maybe that was where they focused their attentions. I couldn't really speak for everyone because, again, you talk about off-field stuff, people losing their jobs. You probably got that initial emotion, the distress, the sadness. And then probably 24 hours later, you're like, right, okay, I need to pull myself together and I need to get a job so I can pay my rent and stuff like that. So it is tough. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if some people didn't struggle a little bit, especially if you've not experienced something like that before. I mean, I know I haven't, but, like I say, my thing at the moment, I was in the midst of, right, I've got this big shoulder up coming. I'm going to be out for 5 months. This club that I've been out for years has now been relegated. I'm responsible for that in part. So my whole goal was, right, get fit. I think my due date back fit was the first game of the season. So it was like, right, be ready and get ready to rock and roll. Going to smash this and bring the club straight back. So that was kind of where my thinking went.
Was there any sort of complacency with the squad that you know of? Because obviously, we spoke to Snotty and said some of the sort of the bigger names at Newcastle, when they obviously they knew they'd be playing championship sides, they wouldn't sort of had that edge in training, or he spoke about not being so motivated because he didn't want to be playing championship level rugby. Was that in your scene, or were you just straight back on it? Right, we're coming up next year type thing.
No, let me think about this. I mean, I remember, so Nick Kennedy was brilliant. And I guess because we still had the playoff system, so from the get-go, we kind of said, look, right, this is going to be a long season. Okay. Granted, we should be in the mix for top 4. Our aim is to get promoted, but ultimately it's going to come down to the playoffs. So to keep guys motivated, to keep everybody engaged in this, we're going to run this really heavy rotational system, whereby hopefully by the end of it, pretty much our main core squad of senior guys plus academy guys, 40, 45, would have more or less played the same amount of games. So we tried to work in 3 weeks on, week off, give people equal time off, try and spread the workload, and basically try and accelerate it so that come playoff time, it was an even playing field, and the guys that basically got to almost get us promoted, it was down to, right, how have you performed over the course of the season in the build up to those playoffs? So that was kind of how he set the strategy out. And I mean, I think that worked massively because, it feels like a longer season because of the break. I mean, they're not breaks, but you have the BNI Cup, when the internationals are on, you're not playing. So in one sense, it's great that you have a lot of time off. But then you're focused on your goal, which is promotion. And it's like, at points, definitely it was right. Especially, I think at one point, we didn't lose until I think we went to Jersey. I can't remember the date of that. But I mean, we'd lost one game. We secured our playoff spot well ahead of time. So there was a bit of a lull in terms of, right, okay, come on, we just want to get this done now. Especially, I think, after Christmas, there was a period of it was like 1 game on, 2 games off. BNI Cup, then a championship game, then another break, and it was like, man, okay, we want to get this done. So yeah, I mean, I'd say undoubtedly there were dips here and there because you are focused on that goal, and especially for me, I watch a lot of rugby anyway, so you're watching Premiership rugby, and I think I'd started to work in it a bit at the time, so you're kind of hovering around it, and you're like, man, okay, come on, right, I'm ready to get back involved. But yeah, it was testing in times, no doubt about it. But I think the strategy and the way we went about it made sure that there weren't those kind of lulls. not too many of them anyway.
Yeah, so obviously, you're known as the one club man. Was there any thoughts of leaving when you got relegated? Because obviously, you're looking to progress your own career, but obviously you decided to stay. Obviously, also, rugby hasn't necessarily got the loyalty values as it once had.
Yeah. No, that's the simple answer to that. The only time I came close was, I think, 2009, 2010. That was the only time I came close, and not because I wanted to leave, just because there was offers, and I was like, okay, that was the first time I'd really thought about it, but it wasn't for very long because, I was happy, was playing good rugby. I'd just been in the England squad as well, and was on the cusp, and it was the build up to the 2011 World Cup.
Where were the
so I
offers
wasn't.
from? Just out of curiosity, which team were the offers from?
France, funnily enough.
Oh.
Yeah. So that came, but again, I wasn't really interested too much. You're flattered because again, I'd not really thought about it. So you're like, wow, okay. But then, like I say, where I was in time in my career, and even off field as well, I was like, no, I'm staying. And in and around the time of the relegation, I'd met my wife then. We'd had our first son, so it wasn't just about me anymore. It was about my family and where's best for them. I was in contract as well, so all these things kind of add up. But I don't regret staying. Absolutely, my focus was getting fit and getting Irish back into the Premiership.
Awesome.
I just want to mention sort of one more career point, and then I want to have a chat about some of your off-field since retirement. When you started, would you ever imagine that for the same club you would break the record appearances, record tries? Is that still quite surreal, or did you have that dream? Like, is that where you really wanted to end up?
No. If you'd have said it, I would have been like, no chance. I mean, initially it was just about getting through the academy and breaking into the first team. And you come in as a young guy, and we had Justin Bishop and Paul Sackey on the wings. Scott Staniforth came over from Australia, and you're looking at these guys and like, right, okay, these guys are the business. How am I going to break into that? And then you finally do crack it, and then you're just looking to establish yourself as a regular first team player, and then build from there. And I guess as time goes on, I guess the milestones, they kind of came, but again, without really thinking about them too much. It'd almost be like, someone in the off-field team would say, oh, this weekend's your 100th game, by the way, or this is your 150th. And it was only, I think, until I got to about 250 where people kind of started to say, oh, actually, you're not too far. What's the record? Like, you're not too far off that. Because then I think after 250, there weren't too many ahead of me. I want to say it was maybe Neil Hatley, Dec Danaher, Justin Bishop was the other. I can't think if there were many more. So I think that was when, and David Pace, of course, as well, in around that. So that was kind of when maybe the countdown started. Again, I tried not to think about it too much because, again, you're just competing every week to get picked so you can go and play. So you got that competition going on off the pitch. Everybody wants to play, and you just want to get on and perform. So, the games, you're not really counting in your head. And then all of a sudden it's like, right, okay, you're 10 games away, you're 5 games away. And I remember like laughing because, as much as you're like, right, anything could happen. Like, I could not get picked, I could get injured, and you start thinking about it and then you don't perform very well. So you do everything you can to not think about it. But I mean, you're human. It's very tough not to, especially as it got closer and closer. And then obviously not doing it the easy way. I had to break it twice. I had to do it once out in Paris, and then I did get injured. So Pacey overtakes me, then he retires, and I have to try and break it again and take it off him. So a long road to try and tick everything off. It's still weird now when people kind of say, if they introduce me or someone talks about it and says, these records. And I guess now I'm able to think about it properly and say, okay, actually, you did that. And nobody can take that away. Hopefully it will stand for a very, very long time. It took me well, I guess 16-year career, but it took me 13 years of playing to do it. And with the way the game is going, it's tough. It's attritional. So
I was just going to say, I don't think players are that loyal anymore, and that's not a dig at the players. That unfortunately, a lot of the players go where the money is, and sad state of affairs. You don't get as many players like yourself who commit to one club for their career, and we need more players like that, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different time at the moment, different market. Clubs are spending. You can get global superstars into your team, and obviously the Premiership is results driven. Guys want to be at the top and they want to win things. They want to win the Premiership, want to win the European Cup, and they know that maybe they don't afford themselves the time now. They're like, we need results, instant results, especially if you're not up there. If you're up there at the moment, it's maybe easier to stay there. But for guys wanting to break in, you're thinking, man, I need to spend. I need that quick win. So I guess guys aren't afforded that time to really develop, to extend their careers, to stay loyal, because there's always offers. And, say with the way the market is now, to teams are spending. So guys want to maximize their careers. Like you say, I think it's a different time now. There'd be a handful of players who have spent 7 to 10 years plus at one club. I know there are guys out there, definitely, but it's probably a lower percentage now.
Yeah, well, I suppose when you started playing, it was still unprofessional, wasn't it? So, to go from, was it? Or I don't know, maybe I'm missing it. I don't know what.
No, I'm not that old.
Jeez,
I thought it was in the 90s. It was the 90s that it got made professional, wasn't it?
It got professional in 99, and I turned pro in 2003. It's all right, we can edit this out. Make sure
I'm
we
so
can
sorry.
your faces.
I'm so sorry, Topsy.
I'll leave it in on purpose. Do
Oh, dear, man.
yeah, my fault. I get me dates mixed up all the time. I'm not here for the rugby. I'm here for the good
right.
work.
We'll just turn your mic off now, so you're.
So saying all about the on-field and everything, off-field at Irish, you're always going to be a legend, and you seem to be getting quite involved with a lot of the foundation, the London Irish Foundation, and really getting that out there, as well as the move to Brentford. I just wanted to touch on a little bit, because I think you're a trustee for the foundation.
Yeah.
Saying some of the projects that are going on there, because Irish at the moment, particularly with COVID going on, the amount that they've been doing with Power Day and everything, providing meals, etc., and then the amount of work the foundation are doing, there's quite a new setup. But some of the projects, like the homeless projects, the Beat the Street as well, and the Beat with girls. Was that something you really wanted to get involved with coming out of your career, or was that an opportunity that came to you following the retirement?
I would say both. I mean, so our foundation, we're a very young foundation. It's been something that we probably should have done a long time ago. So when it was formed and Andy Keast approached me about being a trustee, I jumped it. I said, yes, absolutely. Where do I sign up, and what do you need me to do? Because I guess when you're getting towards the end of your career and you're thinking about what's the next steps, one thing that was very clear to me was giving back to, I guess, a game and a club that had allowed me to do so much. So, the work with the foundation, the projects you've mentioned, again, because we're so new, we're still quite a small team, but the impact that the guys are doing it's unbelievable. Like, making really, really big differences, getting guys on the streets and getting them into housing, getting them into jobs, working with young people, just giving them opportunities, using rugby as like the vehicle to drive it. But it's more than rugby is the side piece. It's actually just kind of literally picking people up and giving them a chance, giving them time, even just giving them a conversation, cup of coffee, cup of water, things like that. Young people, empowering them. So it's been brilliant to be involved in that. And I guess sometimes I guess feel bad's not the right word, but I guess as an ambassador and as a trustee, get to be the one to tell you about it. But there's guys that are doing 10 times what I'm doing and having really, really massive impact in a lot of these people's lives. So it's brilliant to be involved in. And like you say, even like with the Powering the NHS initiative, from Power Day and with the club, again, just wanting to reach out and help people in what has been such a tough time. You know, the NHS just doing a ridiculously good job in keeping people alive and, you know, dealing with this huge pandemic. So I guess, you know, a lot of similarly aligned thinking. It was like, right, how can we help? We're at home, we can't work, but that doesn't mean there's nothing that can be done. You know, I guess driven by Paraday and our chef at Irish Bogdan, who's been in every single day, cutting, driving. I mean, it's been a huge effort, and it's great to see. And I think with the whole, again, moving into Brentford and London as well, I think there's been a big realization that the club can do so much more, and that they're going to do so much more. And with me, it's brilliant because, like I say, that's where I want to be and really make an impact. So again, this whole lockdown period has been, again, giving me a chance to kind of move into some areas that I really want to. Qualified as a mentor now as well. So I'm looking to really heavily get involved in terms of kind of helping the next generation, whether that's from a rugby coaching perspective. But for me, actually, I think it's more the whole person perspective, actually trying to empower and give young people as much guidance as they want. If they want to try and get into rugby, then brilliant. I'm happy to sit and listen and to tell you my story and some of my experiences. If you want a bit of coaching, I'm happy to do that as well. But I'm just looking to make as big an impact as the club has started to do as we move to a new community. We still want to do that where we have been, but I think this whole transition into London is a brilliant opportunity to really try and make a difference.
Sorry, go on. I was just saying, a lot of our guests we've had on recently, we've been asking sort of similar questions, and we've been asking for a dream 15 for players that you shared a field with. So the rules have been slightly bent depending on who you've been speaking to. I think it originally started with people you've either played with or against. Some people have said, "Oh, just a team that I've played with." Some people have said it's people who I've shared a pitch with. So we're quite loose when it comes to the rules with this. But what out of the people that you've shared a pitch with in your career, so what would be your sort of dream 15?
Oh, wow, here we go. Okay.
Spot.
I see now. If any Irish boys are listening, I'll be like, "Why didn't you pick me?" I remember I did earlier this season. I did like a Premiership 15 from some work I was doing with Channel 5, and again had text from the boys. You didn't pick me. What are you doing? Can't be biased here. Yeah, yeah. So okay, let's see. 15. I will pick Dylan Armitage. Silosi Tangi Thakinbao on the one wing. Probably Sivi Vatu on another wing.
Yeah.
Would say. Centres. Let me see. Oh, wow. Obviously, probably Manu would be one. Manu and Nonu.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a combination for you.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine.
And add another one in at 10. Dan Carter at 10.
What do you think of his comeback, by the way?
Oh, unbelievable. I caught wind of it yesterday and I was like, is this for real? And then saw the announcement. I was like, man, and he's probably going to carve up as well. He's still got it. So
if you can see how he goes. Why not? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
At that age. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, geez, fair play to him. That's brilliant. Scrum half. Scrum halves. I'm trying to think who's been the most annoying scrum half I've played against.
Dodge has got to be in there.
Well, yeah, he's very chirpy actually, but I guess most of the time he was on my team, so it wasn't too bad. I'll come back to scrum half. 8, Chris Halafia. 7, George Smith. 6, Jerry Collins.
Nice.
Hell of a team,
Yeah. Let's see, lot combinations. Nick Kennedy will be one, definitely. Just never seen someone steal so much ball. Like, there was one purple patch where pretty much the opposition's line-out was our line-out because you just knew he was going to steal it. It was one of those. Nick Kennedy and Simon Shaw.
Solid.
Nice.
Yep. Front row, Shock Brits.
Yeah.
Tonga Weir.
Oh, Tonga away. What a blast from the past.
Yeah. And it's a toss-up between one current, one former. Andrew Sheridan and Mako.
Oh, hell of a team. We say this every time, but every team we've had has been different. I don't think there's probably only 2 teams where they've got picked the same player and it's only one. You know, they're going to put them all onto like sort of like Instagram posts. I'm going to get people to vote on have like a round robin of tournaments of everyone's teams, and then have like a mini Club World Cup type thing. Again, just a bit of fun in lockdown. But no, that's a hell of a team. And who would you have? Who would you have managing it?
Oh, Toby Booth.
Good show.
There's one man who knows how to get the best out of players on the pitch, but then really look after them off the pitch as well. He knows how to get that balance.
Awesome. And let's lead us on to the fateful lockdown question we've been asking everybody.
You've been asking everybody.
I've been asking everybody. I've been trying to cut it out, but I don't know that. Basically, right, you're in lockdown for 2 weeks with a player that you've played with, let's say, not shared a pitch with, a player that you've played with at some point in your career. You are literally locked down for 2 weeks. You cannot leave the house. You're not allowed an hour's exercise. You're having people bring food to you. You're shielding, effectively. Who would make it an absolute nightmare? Who, out of everyone you've ever played with, do you think, oh my God, I couldn't survive 2 weeks with them? And why?
Nightmare. Stefan Armitage.
And why is that?
Oh, straight away.
Cool.
Second time he's
Wow.
Marcus Sewell said exactly the same thing.
Did he? Oh, he'd be a nightmare. He'd just be moaning and it'd be day 2 and he'd be like, I can't do this anymore. Like, help me, please. And he'd be like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Like, yeah, just no. I'm glad Map said that as well. I think you'll get a lot of boys.
There's a trend forming here. He's going to have to come on and defend himself, isn't he? But,
yeah, get him on. Tell him. See if he's got any defence, and if he has, he's lying.
Is it the same reason? Is it because, I think the guy said that it was just an absolute nightmare on the drink as well. Not in terms of a drink problem. Dom, I'll just point that out.
Yeah, I was going to say.
On the beers.
Another edit.
Yeah, busy evening.
Steph's he's a free spirit. He likes to be out there and doing his thing. So he's one of those guys. If you tell him he can't do something, day one, he's like, why can't I do it? No, I'm bored now. I need to do it. Let me out. So yeah, he'd have no tolerance to stick it out.
Fair enough. And one final sort of jokey question. You wake up in a dark room. That little freaky thing from Saw comes in, cycles in on the little tricycle, and says, right, to survive, you've got to clear the table. Now, on the table is 4 bottles of Jaeger, 20 pints of Guinness, and 20 pints of lager. Who would you pick to help you get through that?
Wow, well, that's a spread.
Life or death.
Do you use the same alcohol every time you ask that question?
He's mixed
I was
up.
going
Is
to
this
say.
to get through the whole thing?
Yeah, got to be done. You've got a few hours to do it.
It would probably be one of Chris Halafia.
That's what Matt said as well last week.
Did he?
It's good. It wasn't
Yeah.
Oh.
He's just again, he'll sit and he'll just quietly polish the whole thing off with you. Okay, you won't need much conversation. Might be the odd thing here or there, but he's one guy. He'll literally sit down with you and be like, right, we're not leaving until this is done. And you'll be like, okay, Chris, yep. And then you just get stuck in.
Fair play.
Perfect. And just one final question. It's not a sort of a silly one, but it's once again, I'm borrowing Jack's question he asked a few weeks ago. But if you could give your 16-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
My 16-year-old self, I would say a couple of things. Everything will work out.
Mm-hmm.
Take on as much advice as you can get your hands on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And work as hard as you can for anything that you want.
And that's great advice for any 16-year-old, not just yourself, obviously. That's amazing. And just one more thing I was going to say. Obviously, with Dodger Sevens, we're associated with mental health awareness. You can imagine there's going to be a lot of people struggling at the moment in lockdown situation and what we're going through. Do you have any advice for anyone struggling at the moment? Any sort of personal advice that you might give someone that might be listening?
Yeah, I do, and like I said, it's I'm actually glad probably a good one to finish on. So in what I was saying earlier about kind of some of the stuff I've been doing in lockdown, I feel like there is a growing trend now of more and more people coming out and talking about their mental struggles and what they've been going through. And again, in my thinking of how can I help, I think, is there more that can be done earlier? I mean, life is tough, life is rocky, professional sport is ridiculous for ups and downs, but could more be done maybe earlier in their growth? Could they be given more mental fitness, more tools to help cope with like I say, life and sport, and to understand that not everything will be smooth? And I guess if I'm going to give a message or advice, as tough as it is, find one person that you are comfortable enough to share whatever's going on with. And it could, it might not be one of your best friends, might not be your parents, but if there is one person in your circle that you'll feel comfortable talking to, reach out, and it will open your eyes to how good a network of friends you have, because I'd put good money on the fact that anyone you reach out to will listen. And I guess that's the start of that journey, just sharing with people what's going on in your life. Like I say, I've known family, friends who have struggled. I was having a talk with someone the other day, and I actually apologized because I said, man, I had no idea that you were struggling. And he said, look, actually I should have reached out to you, but I didn't. I felt embarrassed, with what I was going through, and I didn't feel like I should be experiencing those feelings and I should be struggling. And I just said, look, yeah, I get that. That's probably one of the things, you feel embarrassed, you feel like you shouldn't be feeling that way. I just said, look, anytime, any place you ring me, I will pick up the phone. And whether it's 10 minutes, whether it's an hour, I will sit and listen, let you get what you need to off your chest, and then we'll figure out a way forward. And if I can't help, I'll try and find somebody that can. I don't have all the answers. But I think one thing, like I said, I'm trying to get better at is being, I guess, a sounding board, someone that's happy to listen and someone that's happy to help. So yeah, that would be my message. There will be someone, no doubt about it. I think, we've all got brilliant friendship circles, and sometimes it's tough to kind of go past that barrier and think, oh, they don't want to hear about my problems, but you'd be surprised.
But sometimes you find if on that front, so let's just put it into a sort of role model. If I was thinking, I'm worried about ringing yourself, it's not just a one-way thing. If I ring you with an issue, you might be struggling, and that call from me could help you as well. So it's a two-way thing. And people think, I've had friends in the past who go, oh, no one ever calls me, no one ever texts me. So do you text us or call us? Just reach out. But yeah, it's a two-way.
Yeah, like you said, it's the assumption, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, he's doing all right. He doesn't want to hear my problem. And then you ring and actually, you know what? I'm going through the exact same thing or something similar.
Yeah.
And once you start generating those conversations, you then, whether it's together or, you figure out a way to move forward. So again, it is the hardest step. Like I say, we're men are proud. We like to take things on ourselves and think, I can do it myself. I can sort it myself. But actually there's real strength in, even if it's just one person, finding one person to share it with.
No, that's awesome advice.
Perfect. Well, on that note, thank you very much, Topsy, for coming on. Really appreciate your time.
No problem. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. Really enjoyed that. It was good.
No worries. It's been an honor to speak to you, and hopefully we can get you back on at some point when there's some actual rugby to talk about.
Yes, please. That would be great. Looking forward to it.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Thanks very much.
Brilliant. Thanks
No
very
worries.
much.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
All the best.
Bye.
Yeah.